Hello, and welcome to your training about ESY considerations and ESY data collection. What is ESY? ESY refers to the special education and/or related services provided beyond the normal school year for the purpose of providing a free and appropriate public education to students with disabilities. The justification for ESY must be supported by objective data and documentation collected and reviewed by the IEP team during an IEP meeting. Not all students with disabilities will be eligible for this additional programming. ESY services are intended to maintain previously learned skills as identified in the current IEP. The purpose of ESY services is not to teach new skills. What ESY is not. ESY is not required just because a student might benefit from the service. It is not mandated for all students with disabilities. It is not for teaching new skills. It is not summer school. It is not childcare. It is not an opportunity to maximize educational benefits for students with disabilities. It is not the same program as the one that students receive during the school year, and it is not automatically provided from year to year. It is not for credit recovery, and it is not a replacement for poor attendance. It is not necessarily a traditional school setting. Let's talk about how you access the ESY page. In order to make an addendum to the IEP, you will go to EC Process dropdown and select IEP. There you will select the ESY Services tab. Once you are in the ESY Services tab, you will see an area that says ESY Eligibility Determination. If you have met for this student's IEP this year, you will notice that it may say cannot be determined at this time. It is important to understand that if you have selected cannot be determined at this time, it will notify ECATS, and we will be able to see that this student has not had a determination made for eligibility for extended school year. Whether or not they qualify for extended school year, you must have a meeting to make the determination of yes or no. You cannot leave a student as cannot be determined at this time and close out the school year. Let's talk about the different areas of eligibility. The student regresses or may regress during extended breaks from instruction and cannot relearn the lost skills within a reasonable time. Students must show a significant regression of a previously learned skill as a result of a prolonged lapse in service. Substantial retraining is required to attain previous competence. Regression can be an indication of a student's inability to maintain performance or to generalize acquired skills to a new setting outside of the instructional environment. Recoupment is the process of re-getting skills through review and reteaching following a scheduled break in instruction. Both of these conditions should be evaluated by the IEP team in determining eligibility for ESY services. Here are some examples of academic data that can be used to determine ESY. Benchmarks in ULS, IEP progress monitoring data, process time, and prompting level. The data that you are collecting does not necessarily need to change in order to make a determination for ESY. You need to synthesize your data regularly collected to make identifiable trends following an extended break. Make sure that when you are talking about skills specific for ESY, you are using that IEP progress monitoring data. A skill must be identified on the IEP in order to be used to determine eligibility for extended school year. The benefit a student gains during the regular school year will be significantly jeopardized if he or she is not provided with an educational program during extended breaks from instruction. If a student with disabilities requires more consistent and highly structured programming techniques due to the severity of their disability, the student with disabilities may be more vulnerable to regression when the school program is interrupted. A severely disabled student may revert to a lower functioning level or exhibit more behaviors which interfere with the learning after a long break in programming. The student requires more consistent and highly structured programming techniques due to the severity of the disability. The student will suffer significant loss of skills or behaviors in areas deemed to be crucial to reaching the ultimate goal of independence. Here are some examples of some functional data that you could take for ESY to validate this eligibility area. Frequency data, duration data, ABC data, and task analysis. If a student shows a significant increase in the frequency or duration of maladaptive behaviors following extended breaks, and these increases in maladaptive behaviors are directly impacting their ability to fully succeed in their academic instruction, the student may benefit from ESY. When maladaptive behaviors that are the result of an extended break interfere with growth and critical skills, then this is a way to qualify a student for eligibility for ESY. The student is demonstrating emerging skill acquisition or a window of opportunity that will be lost without the provision of an educational program during extended breaks from instruction. In this example, a critical skill is one that is determined at the development of the IEP. It is a realistic in terms of both age and developmental appropriateness. Failure to learn the critical skills seriously affects the student's progress towards self sufficiency. Rare and unusual circumstances do exist. They are usually medical or health related, which will result in the loss of students' capacity to acquire a critical skill if it is not taught at a particular time. Some examples of that situation may be a student has a degenerative hearing loss and needs language intervention as quickly as possible, or a child experiencing a recent brain trauma and requires services during a spontaneous recovery period. So, what do you need to do as the teacher? You will be assigned an EC Department LEA for ESY considerations for your class. The LEA will reach out to you to schedule the IEP meeting. As we discussed before, you should expect your ECCT, your grade level ECCT, to reach out to you if you have selected on the IEP that a determination cannot be made at this time. However, if you have selected no on the IEP, it will not flag it for an ECCT to reach out to you. So in that case, if you originally selected no, ESY was not being considered, but you are now considering ESY based on data collected after extended breaks, you will need to reach out to your grade level ECCT in order to secure an LEA for your ESY meeting. ESY meetings cannot be held without an EC Department LEA. You must have an outside LEA in order to hold these meetings. Do not hold these meetings with a school-based LEA. You will need to let your LEA know if there are any other meeting purposes as well. Annual review, a BIP review, reevaluation, etc. Complete all the drafts that accompany documents at least 5 days prior to the meeting date for review by your assigned district LEA. Before the IEP meeting, you must complete the ESY data form and upload it to ECAPS. Let's take a look at that now. When you open this document, it will force you to make a copy. Once you make a copy, you will see the extended school year data sheet. Here you will fill out the information on the top: student name, ID, disability, school, classroom teacher, and EC case manager. Underneath that box, you will see the ESY eligibility criteria. Under that, you will see where you need to check the source of data collected for ESY consideration. Check all that apply Any data that you are using to make this consideration should also be uploaded into ECATS with this form. It is important to mention that a student may qualify for multiple areas of eligibility for extended school year, but they are only required to qualify for one area of eligibility. Underneath the data reflection piece, you will see the 3 different areas of eligibility. If a student is not qualifying under that specific area of eligibility for ESY, you simply check NA. If they are qualifying under that specific area of eligibility, then you will answer the questions below. For regression and recoupment, what skill area or areas within the IEP did the student learn that now show regression? How long did it take for the student to recoup the lost skill area? Number 2, summarize the data that supports the regression/recoupment for the specific skill area and no regression or recoupment for the specific skill area in the IEP. The next area is benefits gained would significantly jeopardize. If this is not an area where you feel the student or the data shows the student is eligible, you click NA. If not, answer the following questions. What benefit has the student gained this school year academically? What benefits has the student gained this year behaviorally? What benefits has the student gained this year socially? And what benefits has the student gained this year within classroom routines? Summarize the data that supports the benefits gained would be or would not be significantly jeopardized if not provided with an educational program during extended breaks, and be specific. Finally, emerging skill acquisition. If a student and their data qualifies for extended school year based on this category, then you will answer the questions below. If they do not, you will check NA. What skills are emerging? Summarize the data that supports the benefits gained would be or would not be significantly jeopardized if not provided with an educational programming during extended breaks, and be specific. The next section talks about frequency and duration. Is the student able to have their needs met during CMS's preferred window for extended school year services? Yes or no? If no, what data supports the requirement for alternative frequency or duration of services to address the needs identified above? For each goal, identify ESY services and what service times is recommended for the goal to be addressed. After you have completed that data form, you're going to upload that ESY data form and the accompanied data into ECATS. Create the invitation to conference and send to the parent with at least 7 days notice. If you need to request an interpreter, please do so by going to My CMS Intranet. Draft your IEP and the other needed documents in ECATS and email your LEA when all the drafts and data are ready for review in ECATS. IEP draft for ESY addendum. Your meeting purpose, reason would be addendum. Start date would be 1 day after the IEP meeting. The end date would remain the same. If needed, update the student profile with strengths, parent concerns, and the vision at the meeting. For goals, be sure to click the ESY box for any goal area to be worked on during ESY. When you're in the eligibility for ESY section, you're going to click to print that page. At the very top of the page, you will see a box that says to click here in order to print the ESY page. You will select the qualifying area, the same as you did on the ESY data form. You will put the ESY decision date is the date of the meeting. The ESY start date is June 23rd, 2025. The ESY end date is July 31st, 2025. ESY special education services should be the same as goal areas you clicked. Leave the number of sessions blank, but the length of the sessions should total 300 minutes. ESY related services should be updated by the appropriate service providers if they are recommending ESY for their area. Draft your IEP. Drafts for other purposes to include ESY. An annual review. Draft annual review to include the ESY information. Email your LEA when the draft is ready for review. Reevaluation and annual review. Draft the reevaluation or eligibility paperwork as needed. Draft annual review to include all ESY information. Email the LEA when the draft is ready for review. Here are some reminders for best practices during the meeting. Be sure to share your screen. Lead the team through the IEP process and finalize all ECATS documents. After the meeting, be sure to complete the ESY student information form with the parent and the LEA present. You will be including information such as PNAs, nursing, and other special circumstances. Include the days of the week that the student will attend. Upload all signature pages and ESY documents to ECATS. The student information form, other ESY forms should already be uploaded before the meeting. Finally, send parent copies of all IEP meeting documents to include the parent FAQ for ESY. Here are some important links that you may find helpful. These are resources that can support you through the extended school year process. You can also find these links on ECPPI. If you have any additional questions for your EPECCTs, here are our areas or our ways for contact. Thank you so much, and I hope you find this helpful.